We recognize that the world is changing at an incredible pace. What the Second Eastern Africa Bioeconomy Conference does is bring together different leaders, policymakers, academic scientists and researchers, innovators, business leaders and entrepreneurs across the continent to provide a unique platform for knowledge sharing, to build consensus on issues concerning Africa's bioeconomy, and discussing frontiers of bio-based research and innovation in Africa. What is your overall assessment of this conference and the influence it could have on efforts to develop bioeconomy in the regions of Africa?
Oh, this has really been a wonderful conference and also a golden opportunity, I would say, which has brought together stakeholders or partners from different areas who are contributing significantly to the bioeconomy in many different ways, in whether in science and also in business. I was really intrigued by the number of young people who have started their own innovations and who are really translating that science into viable businesses and profitable businesses, and who are not only remaining in startups but who are actually establishing very strong businesses in the bioeconomy. And so for East Africa and for the whole region, this is a very good starting point that will ensure that we work together and manage to have innovations turn into products and solutions for agriculture.
I think this conference is one of its kind on the continent. There have been several initiatives, but they seem to be fragmented. For once, we have an opportunity to bring key experts in the field to come in one place to discuss about bioeconomy research. What impresses me the most is this urge to work together and come up with some ideas and some measures to move the field of bioeconomy research forward as an agenda to achieve the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, and also to achieve Agenda 2063 for Africa.
One of the things that has really impressed me is the broad scope of panelists in the different discussion groups. I think there are so many countries, not just in the region, both in terms of geographic scope, but also in terms of the individuals who are participating. I have been really impressed with that. I've been impressed by the various things that have been discussed, from local industry to academia to research institutions, both government and private, to governments. So we had, the Swiss ambassador here, the East African community is represented. In terms of influence to other regions, I think it's important that the East African community and COMESA and SADC, so the regional blocks, maybe that's a way to scale out. To have a conversation at that level, at the regional blocks level. So involve ECOWAS, the African Union, and so on. And maybe try to see if we can have an Africa-wide bioeconomy meeting at some point in the
future. First of all, that it became a reality, and that at the moment, it is the largest and probably the only convening on bioeconomy in Africa. So that is a very positive aspect. And I think in terms of just the participation, there was very good participation.
We managed to bring more people from other regions in sub-Saharan Africa. Maybe one of the things that we need to start to consider is not just sub-Saharan Africa, but the whole continent, including North Africa. Bioeconomy is contextual because of the type of feedstocks and the processes that are used.
Bioeconomy is gaining momentum in Eastern Africa. How can we ensure it remains inclusive and impactful with respect to food security, health, and poverty alleviation?
Indeed, it has been a good conference, and in order for us to ensure that bioeconomy maintains that inclusivity in food system, we need to look at the whole value chain, the whole system, without looking at it in fragments, and also harness the power of industry, private sector. Why? Because private sector have the resources, private sector have the technical know-how, private sector also have the expertise that we need to drive this transformative process. So if we can incorporate that or embrace those practices into the bioeconomy and into also the development of the techniques that we come up with, I think it will make this process successful and also gain the results that we need.
There are many ways it can be inclusive, but the first one is not only on the topics that want to be achieved, but on the people we want to be participant of it. So it has to be multi-participatory, if you want to say that, so that we can consider farmers, we can consider professionals, technical people who know how to work with bioeconomy, and then set up goals and targets as well, so that we really can be sure that it is inclusive. So we heard also, particularly in the last session, about the links of bioeconomy with SDGs. This is really the important part. I think that there are some SDGs that we are concerned that cannot be achieved by 2030, but with bioeconomy there might be a possibility to really achieve. One of them, it's on gender, how much we can include women into the aspects of financial issues to support business, how we can ensure that women, professional women, can engage in this type of activities within bioeconomy. Another area is really to consider, for example, the financial aspects, how to support entrepreneurs, young people, women as well, so that we can really consider that it is inclusive and it is not just an aspect that could be sidelined for these groups.
One of the things that would be important to address is just cataloging what is happening. Because this conference is great, and there's clear evidence that from the participation, both on the virtual platform and in person, that there's a lot of interest, and it's gaining in recognition as an important part of the economy.
What are the prospects of achieving a continental African bioeconomy?
It would be, because it is part of the African Union Agenda 2063. So on that platform, it's possible to bring people from all the regions. I think that addresses also one of the things that I raised with the first question. How do you document? How do you catalog what already is happening? And an Africa-wide bioeconomic conference might be something to do in the not too distant future, because that way then you can learn from what is happening in other regions as well.
What is your key takeaway from this second Eastern Africa Bioeconomy Conference?
One of the things that highlights for me is thinking about a centralized production system as opposed to, a centralized production system, which is what exists now, versus a decentralized distributed one. So one is looking at production at scale, not in one large factory, but in a network of many small factories, which is something that I think the bioeconomy environment needs to look at. How do we put value in the small village or region scale technology or technology platform or production platform, as opposed to an industrial area in a big commercial city like Nairobi or Abidjan or Kampala and so on. How do we put value to something that is produced in the regions? And that has implications on improving livelihoods, reducing transfer of labor from rural areas to the cities, really, and the circular economy, which means that things are being produced and value added and consumed locally, rather than exporting of nutrients and things like that. So my takeaway, that there's economy of scale even in a large network of small enterprises, and not just in the large enterprises.
There is the possibility of linking more in a clearer form for the region bioeconomy with climate change, and how the negotiations at the COP26 now in Glasgow should really bring together all the issues that are involved in bioeconomy and in climate change mitigation and adaptation. There are very close links that we need to push forward.